wreck. He do. I'm planning my next steps. Defeat you if you ain't heard I'm that. Sequel, award-winning, magnificent, ain't no one that's my equal. Prequel, I'm the lethal, some say unbelievable. Who? Rich Bees, he make it do what it do. Who knew? Album 2, in my mind I chose to deliver to you. On your porch, kick the box like UPS do. I ain't through with this dose of truth. One too many ain't shoot. Why would I choose to inform you? I'm letting loose 59 milli, pot of stove, I'm cooking goose.
What's going on? What's going on? Rich Bees, the real Rich Bees, is back. Back in a way that I know you don't even realize. Because I am streaming live on Twitch and YouTube today. Whole new thing. Whole new thing. I'm literally doing this for the first time, even though I have streamed live on YouTube a long time ago. I've also streamed live on Twitch, which I do every day, right? Every day I do. So today is going to be something crazy different. Why is it going to be different, you ask me? Why is it going to be different? It's going to be different because, and hear me out, because I was working, I'm thinking of some stuff, and a topic came up that I was like, you know what? We're going to have to talk about that today. We're going to have to talk about it. So, if you read the description, you know exactly what I'm talking about. What are we talking about? Being busy versus actual progress, right? Being busy versus actual progress. What does that look like? Now, if you've seen my streams before on Twitch, what you'll know is that a lot of times, and the main reason why I started streaming was because when I'm working, I'm usually talking to myself anyway. Anybody out there talk to themselves? But I do. I talk to myself anyway. So it doesn't matter whether or not, you know, um, I'm live or not. I'm still gonna be talking to myself, and I'm still gonna be working. So I figured, why not do that and have a forum that I can empower others, right, to learn some of the things that I know, because the things that I know I've been doing for the last 20 something years, um, or while I'm working, I can show some things that I'm doing. And that way, again, people can be empowered and be a better version of themselves, so they can do the things they want to do, because I'm not trying to teach anybody to do what I do. I'm me, Rich Bees, the real Rich Bees, and these are just the things that I do, right? So if you've ever been to my YouTube channel, what you'll know is that you'll see or listen to, maybe you already have, maybe you got a notification today, but the fact that I do music, right? I've been doing music back basically all my life. I've been in marching bands, I've been in rap groups, I've been in and that's gospel rap groups and uh secular rap groups. Um and so that's how most people on YouTube have seen my channel. However, also there's another channel on YouTube, right? There's a channel that I've had since 2017, that's actually called Team Bees. Team B as in boy, Z as in zebra, which is just like Rich Bees, but it's Team Bees. If you go to that YouTube channel, you'll see me and my family traveling to Costa Rica, to Mexico, across the United States. We filmed it all, so you can find that there, right? And so I feel like over this time, um, I think I'm really skilled at knowing the difference between being busy and making progress, right? And I'm gonna say that because as we were traveling across the United States, um, and out of the country, sometimes you can be going toward the destination and it feels like you're busy, right? Like I'm doing things, I'm trying, like kind of like at the start, right? Like at the start, you're thinking about you're probably scheduling, you're probably trying to figure out what you're going to do, you're probably going to figure out like which way you're going, and that sometimes can feel like you're being busy. But actually, even though that seems busy, that's actually progress, right? That's actually progress. Why? Because you're still moving towards the destination in which you're trying to go. Because you're making steps, right? Not only making them, but you're actually walking out steps that it's going to take or require for you to reach that destination. And I think that's some of the things that people don't realize. Because and matter of fact, let's talk about busy, right? Let's talk about busy. Um, Being busy, it can sometimes look like, that you're doing stuff, right? You're doing a bunch of tasks, but it's not something that helps you reach the destination. So if you want to talk about like just busy, right? Okay, how about this? Let's do this. Let's do this because, like I said, I'm thinking about it. So this is on the fly. This ain't me knowing already what I'm gonna talk about, having outlines and information already planned out. That's not how I work, right? I don't work that way when it comes to streaming because these topics come to my head as I'm working on something or whatever. And so because I don't already have it all dolled up, with a whole package and, lower thirds and graphics and stuff that I want to put on here to try to convince you of what I'm trying to get across. um we're going to do it on the fly, right? We're going to do it on the fly because I want you to be able to understand the same thing that I understand, right? Hey now, hey now, I see you just checking in. Wonderful. You got your own work to do. Okay, okay, all right, I feel you. Got work to do. Got a job day. Oh, got work to do. Well, um I appreciate you stopping by. I really do. Thank you for coming. Um, and so the people on YouTube know that's my chat coming off of Twitch, right? Um, so just in case you think I'm playing, there you go. So on the stream now, you can see the fact that that's coming off my Twitch. Now, what I want you to understand is that we're gonna figure these things out on the fly, right? On the fly. What does that mean? That means that we're going to let's pull up a dictionary, right? Let's pull up a dictionary. Let's find out what is the definition of busy, right? So let's pull up a dictionary. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you. I'm going to put it on the screen. All right. Let's go to dictionary.com. How about that? Dictionary.com. Let's go to dictionary.com. All right. So let's put it up. All right. So what do we have? Dictionary.com. Let's go to let's say, what are we looking at? Busy. Busy. What is the definition of busy? Busy. Actively and attentively engaged in work or pastime. Not at leisure, otherwise engaged. Okay. Full of or characterized by activity. Okay. Are we getting it? We getting it? We starting to understand what it is? In use by a party or parties and not immediately accessible. Okay, right? Not immediately accessible. Okay, of a telephone line. Officious, meddlesome, prying. So you could tell somebody that they're busy if they're just meddling in your business, right? Why you being a busybody? You ever heard that? You ever heard that? It's like why you such a busybody? Meddlesome, prying, okay, ornate, desperate, or clashing in design or colors, cluttered with small, unharmonious details. Cluttered with small, unharmonious details. Fuzzy, right? So I could look at a graphic, right? Say I make a graphic, I could look at a graphic and say, because I do make graphics, but let's just say I look at a graphic, and when I look at that graphic, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, that looks busy. That looks busy. That looks all over the place. It looks like a lot going on, right? It's busy. But it doesn't, it's not productive. It's not moving the needle forward, right? It just looks busy. It's got a lot going on, and there's no clear organization, structure, or path to get the message across. We're talking about a graphic, right? Um, a lot of times you don't understand uh, something when stuff is just busy. It just looks like chaos. Okay. So that's what busy is. Busy is often, you know, reactive, right? Things are coming and I'm just kind of reacting to them because I need to just get it done, right? It's like times when you're trying to put out a fire, right? Like you're in business. There's a lot of times that once you get to certain levels, you're just running around putting out fires, and especially if you own your own business and you're one, maybe two less than five people in your business, and you're the leader, you're the owner, you're the head honcho, you're the big cheese, you're the big kahuna, right? If that's you, what you realize is a lot of times you're running around just putting out fires. That's all you're doing. It is no um real planned work. It's I'm putting out fires, right? Putting out fires. Why? Because there's so much happening that I just can't plan it. I just got to put out fires. And sometimes you can do that and end up creating progress, right? But a lot of times you're still at the same place. You're just putting out a fire that keeps you at the same place. And a lot of times when you're busy, you're just you may be going down, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying. When you really think about it, if you're not growing, you're dying. That's crazy because everything in this world is meant to grow. It's meant to progress. It's meant to change, right? That's a concept that is so simple to understand. It's so simple to understand. Yet, not many do. Not many people actually understand that concept, right? And so, what you know is that being busy can seem productive because I got a lot going on. I'm doing a lot, right? Like, oh, I'm here, I'm there. I'm making this happen. I'm making that happen, and so I'm feeling really, really productive. However, you're actually not. You're actually um, running around like a chicken with your head cut off and not really moving forward. It's like you're running around in circles. You know what I'm saying? And that is unproductive. You're busy, yes. You're extending a lot of energy, yes, but it's unproductive. So, the opposite side of that is progression, right? Progression, productivity, which moves you forward. Okay. So now let's look that up. Let's go back to our handy dandy dictionary. Okay. And what is that? So let's look that up. Let's say we were looking for progress. All right. Look up progress. Progress, a movement toward a goal or to a further or higher stage. Okay. Right. Now we're talking. developmental activity in science technology, especially with reference to the commercial opportunities created thereby, or to the promotion of the material well-being of the public through the goods, techniques, or facilities created. That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. But in essence, it's talking about developmental activities, right? Which is progress, advancement in general. Advancement in general, progress, right? If you're going to advance, that's in general, you're moving forward, right? You're progressing. All right, growth or development, continuous improvement, right? The development of an individual or society in a direction considered more beneficial than and superior to the previous level. Remember what I just said. If you're busy, a lot of times you're running around, but you ain't making no progress. You're just going in circle, going in circle, going in circle. There's no actual advancement going on. There's no actual building. There's no actual stacking on top to be better, do better, see more. You know what I mean? Grow internally and externally, right? Progression helps you to do both. It helps you to move forward and go up, right? Because that's what it said. That's what it said. It says growth or development, continuous improvement, right? It says it right there. Continuous improvement, right? The development of an individual or society in direction considered more beneficial than and superior to the previous level, right? I'm gonna skip the biology one. I mean, increasing differentiation and perfection in the course of ontogeny, what? Or phylogeny, what? Okay, don't know what those two words mean, and normally I will look them up. But right now, what we're not talking about biology. So I'm gonna skip. We're gonna skip number 6. We're gonna go to number 7. Right? Forward or onward movement. The forward course of action, events, time, etc. That's what I'm saying. Like you see, moving forward, right? An official journey or tour as by a sovereign or dignitary. Progression, progress, right? So what we're talking about here is actually moving forward. Busy doesn't get you there. Busy does not get you there. What gets you there is progress, right? Meaning if I make a step in the direction of where I'm trying to get to the destination, like in my first example, when I talked about traveling, right? Even if you get snowed in, let's say the airport gets snowed in and you can't get anywhere, right? Which basically halts your progress, right? It halts your progress to the next destination. Um, However, you know what? Let's not talk about an airport. I can get there, but I'm not going to go there because I remember we were going from California to North Carolina, right? We were going from California to North Carolina, and we got to Flagstaff in Arizona, right? We were in Flagstaff. We stopped, went to the Walmart, um, grabbed some snacks, things like that, um, had a bathroom break, and we get back in the truck. We get back on the road. Well, while we're there, somebody says, "Oh, it's supposed to start snowing." And they're talking about it's going to be, pretty good. And I was like, "Oh, snow? When? Now?" Immediately pull out my phone, take a look, and it says it's about to start snowing in the next 30 minutes. I said, "Oh, we got to get out of here. We're in Flagstaff. I know it's snowing like in Flagstaff, it's gonna snow. It's not gonna be no flurry, it's gonna be some snow." So We hop back in the truck, right? Try to make our forward progress so we can get past the snow. Started driving. We don't get more than 5 miles. We don't even, I don't even think we got 5 miles away from that Walmart in Flagstaff. And if you live in Flagstaff, if you've been to Flagstaff, you know where I'm talking about. The Walmart is right off 40. You know where that is. We don't get more than 5 miles away from there going east. Come around the corner, come around the bend, and bye. It's almost like snow just dumped. Like somebody just pushed snow off the mountain and just dropped all on the highway, everywhere, everywhere. Couldn't see. It was snowing so bad. 18 wheelers and everything else was already stopped and couldn't go up the hill. And so we got stuck, right? Basically stopping our forward progress. Now, there's a lot of people who were sitting in that line that were very busy. Even though the traffic is stopped, right? Traffic is stopped. You know you're not going anywhere, right? At this moment, you're stuck. Okay. Now, not everybody was stuck because some people have four-wheel drives and stuff like that. But for the most part, everybody was stuck. But that doesn't mean that because you're stuck, you can't progress. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you how this works. We gonna walk this out. I'm gonna show you how this works. A lot of people were, like I said, stuck, but what made them busy is because the whole time they're revving their car, they're spinning their tires, they're actually sliding sideways. Some of them are sliding backwards as they're spinning their tires, which is basically uh, negating any forward progress that they already made. Right? It's negating any forward progress that they already made. And so now they're just slipping. They're just slipping backwards. Some are slipping sideways, fishtailing, going side to side, but they're not actually going forward. They're not actually going forward. Now, did I do that? I did. I did. I did it for a little bit. And then I said, hold on. Well, we're not going anywhere. So let me stop, right? Because now we're busy, meaning I'm wasting energy, gas, I'm wasting time uh, because I'm not moving, right? What do we do instead? So instead, sit there. For progress says, well, is there anything that we can do to move forward or to help the situation? Is there anything that we can do? So one thing that we could do is pull out a map, right? Pull out a map. Is there anywhere that we can go? How close is the next exit off this highway? Like, what can we do? So we started solutioning, figure out what options do we have, right? That's not busy. That's forward progress. That's figuring out what options do we have, right? Because our intent and our goal is to keep moving forward because we're headed to the East Coast and we got to get there. Okay. Safe, whole, and optimally as fast as possible. So what is that? What are we doing? We're trying to figure out, is there a way? Or is the snow so bad that the next, is it maybe where the snow is only, maybe we got to get through 2 miles and then we back on some clear road? Is it the fact that the snow came from the east, which means that it already dumped there, and so now it's coming backwards west, which is causing us to now get it, but it's already been ahead of us? All questions. We don't know. We have to figure it out. And so what do? Figure that out. We find out that, yeah, snow is in front of us. So the chances of us being able to continue on forward is relatively slim that we're going to make progress. Okay. However, based on the highway we're on, there's no way to cross the median, turn around, and go back towards Flagstaff, right? Maybe grab a hotel room or something like that. That option was not on the table either because it was a median, a concrete median, which allowed us not to be able to go that way. There's also a median on the right hand side, so we couldn't just go maybe into the woods and then maybe get to the road because I knew that there was a side street over there, but there was a median there, so we can't get over there. We're on the highway, right? For all intents and purposes, we're stuck. So what else can we do? Well, we can give the car a break or the truck a break and just put it in park, keep the heat on, just kind of chill out for a little bit because we're behind an 18-wheeler. If they can't move, we ain't moving. Well, after a while, some police vehicles came by, right? They started trying to help people to navigate around this 18-wheeler, get the get people around it. And so my thought was, well, we don't have four-wheel drive on our truck. However, what I do know is that this truck does kind of kick in a kind of faux four-wheel drive if the tires start slipping. How can I use this to my advantage? Well, let's yank the wheel and let's try to go to the fast lane because we were in the slow lane. Let's try to get to the fast lane. If we can get to the fast lane, then maybe we can navigate around this truck at least and at least start to get some more forward progression, right? So how do we do that? Again, you got to use your tools, use the things that you know from experience, and also listen to someone who may know because there were truckers and other drivers that had a lot of experience and they're trying to tell all the cars, hey, put it in high gear, right? So that way it doesn't spin while you're trying to get traction, right? It'll move the tire slowly. Okay, right? That's listening to mentorship because you want progression because the goal is to get progression, right? The goal is not to keep spinning your tires and standing still or moving backwards. So boom, right? Truck, high gear, boom. Start to drive it. It is still slipping. However, we're making forward progress, right? We go up, we go around the 18-wheeler, and we're starting to move forward. As we keep moving forward, we're able to get some real progression and start to go. What we know though is that the highway is pretty much stalled most of the way because we can see kind of far and it's pretty much stalled. A lot of cars stuck, stopped, not really moving. And I did notice that there's a bigger hill. The next one was a bigger hill. And so that's why that traffic was not moving. However, what I did see is that there was an exit. So we took the exit. Took the exit because, like I said, on the map, I could already see there's a side street that goes basically parallel to the highway. So we took the side road, get on the side road, and that too was pretty much stopped. But then I look down and I see, oh, we don't have much gas. Right up there a little bit, if we can get up there just a little bit more, there is a building, what looks like a gas station. So we go up there. Now, understand, it's dark now, right? Like it's dark, it's cold, it's snowing hard, and we finally get up there where the gas station is. However, gas station's closed. Gas station's closed. And now, because we've been in that dealing with that so long, it took us a long time. We made a little progress, but that was like an hour at least. Might have been longer than an hour. But what do? We end up getting to that gas station, drive in, and it's closed. Not many people are there. Right. Nobody's really in the parking lot at all. But when we pull in, there's like maybe one car in there. We pull in, and we're like, well, we're not getting nowhere no time soon, right? It doesn't make any sense to fight through it. We might as well just park, call it a night. That's what we did. That's what we did, right? Because once you realize that there's no more progression that you can do on this course, sometimes you have to just pause. Just pause. Wait for some things to clear up. Wait for another opportunity. Wait for something that shows itself that can allow you to get more forward progress. Because once you've done all you can do, pause. You can't go any further. There's no other option, right? I can't call an Uber to get me there. I listen. I can't get on a jet. Can't call in a helicopter. Even though if I knew somebody, that might have been the next best bet. But is that going to be progress? Because can you fly a helicopter in a snowstorm? I don't know. I don't drive helicopters, right? I don't fly helicopters. So what does that mean? That means that now I'm sitting, I'm in a holding pattern, and is there anything else we can do? Right? Because the whole point is for progress. If we're not progressing, then we might as well wait, right? Wait on that move. And now priority says, well, we did get some snacks, so we have something to eat. Priority says we're probably gonna have to use the bathroom, and it is cold and it is snowing. So maybe if everybody can do this, if the family gets out, maybe tries to go around the building, use the bathroom, whatever, go into the woods, right? As a team, handle that. That's still progress, right? That's still progression. So if we all do that, then we can come back, get in the truck, put the heat on, and take a nap, right? How is a nap progress? Right? And I know y'all might be irritated the way I'm saying Pro- progression or progress, right? But how is that considered progression? Anybody? You can tell me in the chat. You can tell me in the chat, right? You see the chat? It's right there. You can tell me. But how is that considered progress? Um, Taking a nap in this scenario can be seen as progress because once it stops snowing, I'm only in Arizona. I still got to get to North Carolina, right? So I might as well get some sleep. Might as well get some sleep because it's already dark. It's already nighttime, right? This took an hour or two just for us to even get to this gas station from the Flagstaff. I'm probably not more than 5 miles away from the Walmart, but I'm at a standstill. So the best course of action in this moment is to take a nap, get some rest, right? Because a lot of people want to confuse being busy and making progress, right? What are some reasons, right? What are some reasons that people may confuse those two? I think more than anything, it's because they feel like, and I'm not speaking for them, but this is the rationale that I feel like I had, right? A logical rationale, to me would be I'm I can be perceived as getting things done, right? I'm doing a lot. So I got to be progressing, right? Other people are looking at that and saying, "Oh, they're really busy. They got it going on. They you see how they moving? They doing this, that. They doing everything, right? But really and truly, they're just being busy. not actually making any progress. I think another reason can look like maybe they don't want to choose or plan appropriately, right? Because to as you notice in the story that I just told, at each point that we encountered a challenge, we didn't get just busy. We took a second to figure out, well, what's the next thing that I can do to continue progressing, right? It wasn't just haphazard that we did the things we did. It was really saying, well, what options do we have? Right? And sometimes that may look like you need to communicate, with your partner if you're married, right? That may be where you need to make a phone call because of somebody else, like a mentor or something, may have some information that you can reach out and figure out. Uh, a couple of streams back, a couple of live streams ago, we had this whole conversation about um um planning for success and also being able to take inventory of what you already have access to, right? Because let's just say that the police didn't come by, right? I don't know whether it was their state troopers or police, whatever it was. Um, but if they didn't come by and start telling people, hey, put it in the, high gear or whatever, so that way it doesn't spin the tires, then it probably there would be a lot more people being busy but not making progress. But that was listening to someone who had more information than I had, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I knew about that type of thing, but in that moment, that wasn't what I thought of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think of it. They thought of it, said it connected, and I was like, oh, that's right. That is the thing to do. See what I'm saying? And sometimes you know things, but in the moment, you're not thinking of it because you're in your moment. When you pick up that phone, based on the inventory of access that I have, if I call somebody and I'm like, yo, I know, let me call this person because I know that, they do a lot of traveling. They know a lot about, skiing or in adverse weather, they're from up north or something. Let me hit them up and see what they would, what options might I have. Like, it's about taking inventory and then utilizing that inventory when you're at a place that you're stuck. It's not about getting busy. It's about utilizing your inventory so the next move that you make can be one of progress, right? You want to be efficient with your energy. You got to be efficient with it because most of the things we do is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Now, you may have short sprints in between the marathon, but a lot more than likely, the journey that you're on in your life is going to be a marathon. You know what I'm saying? So think about that. If you are being busy for busy sake to look like you're doing something, then a lot of times that's an issue with validation. That's what I feel like. I feel like that's you need other people to validate that you're busy. You need other people to validate that you got it going on. Okay. But if you utilize your tools, utilize your inventory, right? Once you took inventory of your life, know what you have access to. If you do that before you make that next decision of what you're gonna do, then you can be more progress oriented, right? I also think that some people do that because they don't want to make a decision, right? Like if you are busy and you're just kind of like, you know, doing things that doesn't a lot of times require you to make decisions. It doesn't require you to make a decision in the sense of planning and then walking out that plan. That's not what it does. What it ends up doing is giving you you're just flowing, right? You're just flowing with whatever comes. That's busy. Progress says, let me pause, let me think about what I'm doing and what's the next logical next step that can make me move forward. I'm telling you, man, these are simple concepts, but not many people really use them. They're busy. They're running around day to day, doing whatever with no plan, no structure, no next step. It's hopefully if I keep being busy, something's gonna blow, something's gonna pop. I'm gonna strike it rich. It's almost like a lottery mentality, right? I'm gonna put in $1 worth of effort and I'm gonna, come out with billions of dollars, right? $1 billion jackpot. That's the mentality. But that's not true because most of the time, what is true is that you have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort, right? Not about being busy, but it's about really structuring and thinking about what you got to do, making clear steps toward those and walking those steps out. Anytime you get stuck, reach out to your inventory, think about it, what's your next logical next step that can move the needle forward, because that's the deal. If you can move the needle forward, you can then progress because that's what it is, right? All right. So I guess I would really ask you guys, what are you doing today that's busy, right? A lot of people have busy work, but what are you doing today that can be perceived as busy? That'd be the first question, right? Ask yourself that. What am I doing that is just busy? What am I doing that is causing me to waste my time but not make progress? Hmm. That that is interesting to me because I'm thinking about that also, right? Like, so this is live. This is this is raw, raw. I'm I'm saying this right now because this is in my mind, and I'm not saying it because I'm saying, hey, come listen to me. I'm better than you. No, these are things that I know that as I'm talking about it, I'm helping myself. So you can almost call this therapy for me, and not therapy, but strategy, right? This is coaching for my own self. This is building my own self up to be better, do better, and be a better version of myself. And so if I'm doing that for me, why can't I talk about it and it do better for you? And it help you. You can grab some nuggets, you can grab some gems, you can grab some keys, right? That can help you to stay in a mode of progression, to stay in a mode of forward movement, right? Because my whole thing and my channel is like each one teach one. If you know something, if you can help somebody else, why not? Because nobody needs to be running around here busy. Everybody can actually be successful if they strategize and move with progression as the goal. Each day being better, moving closer to your goal than the day before, right? So the first question that I asked y'all to question in yourself is, what are you doing today that's just busy, right? But then I'm gonna give you another question, which is, what are you doing that is actually moving the needle forward, right? Because you have to know the difference between the two, right? You have to know the difference between the two. And so knowing the difference between the two will help you to to understand when you're making moves that actually are progress and which moves are ones that are just busy. So I really ask you to look into yourself, right? Look into yourself introspectively and say, the things that I'm doing right now, is this just busy, or is this something that's going to move the needle forward, allow me to get closer to my goal? I believe that if we all take that outlook, then we'll all start to progress versus just spinning our wheels, right? Spinning our wheels backwards, spinning our wheels forward. And that is the key to me of what success looks like, right? Success looks like constant forward progression towards any goal that you may have. And you might have multiple, because earlier on we had a stream that we talked about goals, right? I set my goals. As I was doing that, I was telling you about setting your goals. That was something that we had a whole long stream about it. You remember? If you didn't remember, if you didn't see it, head over to Twitch. However, it might be gone now because Twitch is really no good at holding content for the long term for to go back and review. However, I'm saying that to say you have to have your goals, because if you don't have a goal, then how do you know if you're progressing toward it? All of this goes together. If you're going to be the best version of yourself, then you have to realize that everything that you do goes together, right? Everything that you do goes together. How do I know that? Go ahead, ask me. How do I know that they all go together? Because I took my time and wrote a book about it. Scan the QR code. You can purchase the book right now. It's a short read. It's not long. It's not long drawn out. It is, it has enough content in it for you to understand the concept of everything going together. Why? Because the name of the book is called Life is a Production, right? The name of the book is called Life is a Production. And what I'm talking about in that book is how everything in your life leads you to progression if you can stack the things on top of itself. Everything you've learned as a child, everything you learned as a teenager, everything you learned as a young adult, stack those things, and then you can go towards your purpose and be productive in life, right? You can progress forward consistently. Why? Because you're building on top of what you already have learned and what you've already known to be true. Okay? So if you can't scan the barcode now because you're on, this platform, the streaming, and you don't have your phone because you're looking at it on your phone, then go to this link right there, richbees.com/links. Richbees, RICHBZ.com/links, right? Go to that address and you can pick up this same book, right? You'll see on there it says ebook. Click that. Click ebook, and you'll be taken to go ahead and pick up that book. All right. Yes, it does cost, but it's for what it's going to give you in value of understanding. That cost is minimal, very minimal, and it's an ebook. So as soon as get it, you can read it. I'm pretty sure you can read it within about 2 hours. You can probably read the whole book within about 2 hours, maybe shorter than that, depending on how fast you read. Some of y'all speed readers out there, but if you do that, then that's going to help you to build to understand exactly what I'm talking about right now, because all of these things go together. All right. So make sure you go and pick up that ebook, scan the barcode, or go to the website and grab that. Okay. There's a button on there that says ebook. Pick up that book. But anyway, so I'm trying to get you to understand this concept of, if you have a goal, excuse me, if you don't have a goal, then how do you know that you're progressing? You have no target. If you have no target, then where does progression reside, right? How do you know that you're progressing? If you have no goal, then everything that you're doing is busy because you don't have any goal. There's no reason for you to be productive. There's no reason for you to progress because there's no goal. And I think that a lot of people that fall into that category um, um, are people who probably have been hurt, people who probably um, were not able to achieve their dream before, or somebody cut them out of their dream. And so now they've lost sight and have no reason to create any new goals. But I urge you, this is the beginning of 2026. Yeah, I'm dating the content now, but this is the beginning of the year. It would behoove you right now to go ahead and write down some goals. Write down some goals. It doesn't matter how big they are. It doesn't matter whether they're, um, um, you're like, I don't think I'll ever do this or whatever. None of that matters. Don't worry about that right now. Figure out what you want to do. What do you want in this life? And try not to make the goal money, right? That's not. I mean, yes, that's a objectionable metric that you can use to see if you are achieving a level, right? Like a point system, right? If I have $1,000, then my goal is 4,000. Then boom, 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 right? But to me, when you're making your goal doesn't need to be the money. The goal needs to be what you were planning to do with the money, right? So if your goal is, let's say your goal is a house, right? Or your goal is to travel. If your goal is to travel, then drill that down a little bit, because the real thing is not to travel. The real thing is the place that you're trying to get to. So if your goal is to move, let's say from North Carolina, from California, or to California, right? New York to Texas, right? Let's say that's your goal. If that's the actual goal, to move from there to there, then yes, it may cost you money, but the money is just needed to make the thing kind of move forward. But that's what you use to figure out how close you are. So it's not the money that's the goal. The goal is to get to Texas if you're coming from New York, right? In that example. So if the goal is the thing that the end result, then yes, you have to figure out, well, how much money does that take? But your goal is not the money, because what people don't realize is a lot of times when you write your goal, as long as it's not money, then there are different things that can open doors for you to reach your goal even without the money, right? One of those things is God. One of those things is grants. One of those things is a friend. One of those things is a new job. One of those things is, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's ways that can get you still to get to Texas without the money, without you having to get the money to do it. I'm just saying. But that's the thing when you make goals. The goal is the thing. The goal is the thing that you want to do. The end result is the goal, not the things that's needed to get to the goal, right? The things that's needed to get to the goal, those can work themselves out. You have to plan for them, right? You have to know what it takes to be able to get to your goal, because if somebody wants to come and bless you, or if somebody wants to, or excuse me, if a door opens up, you have to know what that looks like. You have to know whether or not it's moving you to your goal, right? So you have to that's where the plan comes in, right? You figure out what the goal is, and then you have to plan to reach that goal, right? And then once you plan, then you have to take inventory. What is it going to take for you to get to that goal? Right? Look at my inventory, figure out, do I have anything already that can help me get through this plan? People, money, options. Because sometimes, like I said, once you have the plan and you start working through it, you'll end up finding out that you can finish that plan faster because you took a look at your inventory, you took inventory of what you have access to, and you've ended up shooting through that plan. I told you, all this stuff goes together, right? It's easier to progress through something if you know what the plan is, if you know what goal you're going for, and you've already made a plan. The inventory that you have, the people, the knowledge, the access that you have only helps you to get through the plan faster. You know what I'm saying? Because you may end up already knowing, or because of what you're doing right now, you may already have access to somebody who lives down there, right, in Texas, from the example of New York to Texas, somebody who already lives in Texas. And so now you can make a couple phone calls, talk to them. They'll tell you, hey, here's the great place to be. Here's the places not to be, right? It's doing nothing but helping you to make that progression, make that transition, right? And that's not busy work. That's actually progressing because now I know which places are good and which places are not in a place that I've never lived. So I don't, if you never lived there, you don't know what place is good or bad. So that's still progress because I'm being able to X out the places that are already known areas that are no good for you to go to based on the way that you want to live. You know what I'm saying? So that's progress. That's not busy, that's progress, right? Because it's helping you to get to your goal, right? And so right now, for you to um do the plan and to know that you're progressing versus being busy, I think the very first thing you have to do, because remember I said you got to know the difference between busy and what's progressing. So what's the things that you need to do and what's the things that you don't need to be doing, which ends up getting you from busy, right? From busy to progress. Okay. To make that transition means that first things first, and this is what you always do first. I don't care what it is in life. The very first thing, right? In life, the very first thing is to cut out anything that doesn't help you to progress. Cut it out. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Do not hold on to anything that's not allowing you to progress. Don't hold on to it. Now, let me put a disclaimer on that. If you're married, that doesn't mean to leave your spouse because you two are supposed to be one, which means that if one is progressing, the other should be progressing, and y'all need to work together. And that's a whole nother conversation to help a marriage progress. That's a whole different type of conversation. Um, but goal wise, when it comes to Like if you're single, if whatever. No, even if you're a couple, the thing is for y'all to progress but progress together. And so that takes communication because the only way that you can make two one is to communicate, right? It ain't by just happenstance that two people become one or two people work together to have a great relationship. Like it's by work, it's by communication. So that dispels that. But cut out anything else that's not beneficial to the progression toward the goal, right? Um, that's first and foremost. First and foremost. If you don't cut that stuff out, you're just gonna be busy because you're gonna be constantly putting out fires and it doesn't progress you forward, right? And then you have to decide what things that you have to protect, right? Here's how I'm thinking about this. What things do I have to protect? I would need to protect my time, right? First and foremost, because that's the one thing in life that you don't get back. So so for me to not be busy, which busy by definition was hold up, let's look at it. Let's look at it. What was busy by definition? Let me back up. Give me 1 second. I'll put it on the screen. Let me get back to it. Busy. All right. Um, let's see. Excuse me. Busy. Actively and attentively engaged in work or a pastime, right? Right. So what it looks like to me, like if you even if you go with just the first definition, all this is saying, right, actively and attentively engaged in work or a pastime. That means that you're sucking up your time, right? Because if you're not at leisure, because what's leisure? Leisure is doing something that feels good to you, right? So if you're not doing something that feels good to you and you're otherwise engaged, then you're wasting your time, right? Especially if there's no forward progression, you're wasting your time. So the very first thing you have to protect is your time. You got to protect it. You have to protect your time, right? But what else gets protected? Maybe your mental well-being, right? Maybe your marriage, right? Because that's another thing. And I'm not trying to harp on this thing of marriage, right? I'm not trying to harp on this thing of marriage. But as I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's like if I'm busy, then am I making time for my spouse, right? Because if I'm just busy, then I'm wasting time, even though it feels like I'm working, but there's no progression. And also, I'm stalling progression with my spouse because the time that I'm using that I could engage with spending time with my partner, instead, I'm working on something that's not making me or getting me any closer to my goal or making me even feel any better. I'm just literally spinning my wheels, right? The thing with spinning your wheels is you can do it for a while, right? You see cars all the time doing burnouts and stuff like that. But what is burnouts doing? Burnouts are sitting there laying rubber on the ground, right? If you're in the snow, you're gonna sit there and spin your tires, right? Heat them up, and then you're gonna end up melting the snow if you're in snow. In rain, you're just gonna slip and slip and slip them. But what you don't realize is that in those weather conditions, you can do it for a long time. If it's snow, if it's raining, right, you can spin your wheels for a long time. If it's dirt, you can spin your wheels for a long time. However, it comes a point that it heats up so much that it ends up melting the snow, melting the ice, right? Sand, it doesn't melt, but you still, sand has a lot of what do you call it? Um, Particles in it that can still eat away at the rubber, which means that if you keep spinning them tires, they're gonna blow. They're gonna blow because it's gonna create so much friction, and the rubber is gonna keep on wearing down until the tire blows. So you have to uh, uh, be productive because you can only spin your wheels for so much time, or it's gonna blow. What's gonna blow? The very first thing that that has the most friction. And a lot of times, if you're busy at work, which takes away time from your house, what's gonna blow is not the work, not the job. What's gonna blow is gonna be your marriage or your relationship. And that relationship might not be just your husband or wife. That relationship might be with your kids. That relationship might be with your parents. That relationship might be with your grandparents, right? Most people always love their grandparents. But imagine if you're busy, you're not spending no time with them, and they're probably older in age. And so you're spinning your wheels. In the meantime, you're wasting time, which is their time, their lifetime. You know what I mean? You're wasting their lifetime that you could be spending time with them. Because if you were productive, then you're gonna plan and you're gonna have spare time. That's got to be one of the goals, to have spare time, right? To have leisure time, to have free time, right? All this stuff goes together. It connects. It connects. There's dots. I'm telling you. So that's it. It can be that simple, right? But again, we're talking about protecting, right? That's what you're supposed to be protecting, protecting your time more than anything else. Protect your time, protect your marriage, protect your relationships, protect your friendships, right? You got to protect those things, and being busy doesn't help you to protect those things. Doesn't help you protect those things, right? So if you're protecting those things, that should help you to progress in those relationships. That should help you to progress in that work or your life, right? That's the balance that you're creating, is work and life, right? You got work, life. If you're busy in one, you're going to take up time for the other. If you're busy in life, you're going to take up time here, which means you're not going to have any money, right? So there's a balance that has to happen, right? Because both of them can't be going at the same time. Or maybe they can if you plan appropriately, right? If you plan appropriately, you can start to get them in sync, right? Where they overlap. And now you have work and life becoming one, intertwined. There is a problem with that though, because sometimes if you have your life and your work combined, you'll start to do more work than actually life. So you still have to watch out, right? You have to watch out because, and the way you do that is by keeping an eye on what you're trying to protect, right? What you're trying to protect, what you're trying to cut out. And then you have to realize, what things do I need to delay? Do I need to hold off on? Because it's not time for us to progress, right? I talked about this probably, like, was it yesterday, maybe the day before, on a live stream. I talked about the whole thing of it not being time. You can want to do a thing You can try to um, create something, but sometimes our ideas are good or even great, but it's just not time. In the realm of life, the realm of what you're doing, it's just not time for that, right? Not there's no time, meaning I don't have time to do it. It's not time, meaning it won't get the most progress because it's not time, right? It's not time in the world scheme, in the form of time. It's not time to do that because there's other things that have to be done before this thing can actually come out, right? YouTube or Twitch couldn't have been a thing if there was no internet, right? I did the example of Elon Musk and Tesla, which could not have been a thing if battery technology hadn't gotten as good as it was. It could have not been a thing if computer technology had not gotten up to where it was when they first started it. It could not have been a thing if um, um, motor, right, technology had not gotten where it was. And so think about it. That's three things that had to be at a certain point for that vehicle to be made and be accepted like it did. And it took time, right? It took time. It was a lot of pretty sure a lot of long nights, a lot of figuring it out, a lot of having to deal with motor, companies and people who are going to manufacture the motor, and then dealing with a lot of whatever companies they were dealing with as third parties that would manufacture the batteries, and then they had to deal with people who was, you know what I mean, like dealing with computers and computer chips, and figuring out this whole um, full self-driving thing. Like, some things are good ideas, it's just not time, right? And so that's the part that I'm trying to get you guys to understand, is that um sometimes you might have to delay something because it's not time. So you don't want to be busy doing something that's not going to progress you because it's something that should have been delayed. You should have waited for that. You shouldn't even started that yet. You should have waited, right? um and or scale back the amount of time that you're putting into it, because you know it's a long-term play. It's something that's going to take a long time. So don't put much time into it, but keep making little steps that progress based on what you can do, right? In the form of the car, right? It might be that you just made plans, right? Like you keep writing the plans. You're looking at, well, maybe, what type of motors even exist. You might be doing research, right? Stuff like that. And that's just stuff that you do kind of in passing, or over time. It's not something that you sit there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to just be busy. Oh, I'm working, I'm researching. And so you're taking up a lot of your time, but not really getting anywhere. And so you can still do that research, but just do it over a longer span of time, because you know that this right now is delayed. The idea itself is delayed. The goal itself is delayed. The thing that I'm just putting this to the side because it's not going to allow me to progress to reach my goals yet. Okay, you can still do some work to it, but don't be busy and not making progress. Does this make sense so far? Am I making sense to y'all? I hope so, because this, just understanding this whole thing with busy versus progress will add years to your life, um, clear mental space, and allow you to have a level of peace, because I know that everything that I'm doing is going to be built and guided through progression for me to reach my goal. I'm focused. You know what I'm saying? I'm focused. Yeah. I I just I'm looking for ways more for you guys to get it how I'm seeing it in my head. I hope I'm even getting this across, in a way that is understandable and duplicatable. Um, but I think that okay, so we were talking about like people feeling like that, they're doing something, but they're not actually seeing progress and people getting frustrated because that means something to me because I know even me, I be frustrated sometimes because I'm looking at um my situation. I'm like, bro, I don't feel like I'm even, you know, not that I'm spinning my wheels, but I am doing a lot of work and it's just not hitting, right? Like it's just not doing what I think it should do. It's not doing what I planned it to do. Even though I planned it out, I walked it out, I've got it to certain levels, but it just hasn't, connected yet. It hasn't found its audience, right? So I'm trying to plan out, well, what do I need to do? Because that is a goal to find an audience, right? That is a goal to reach a certain amount of people. That too can be a goal, right? I want to have, 50,000 viewers, right? I want to get to, my 30 subscribers on Twitch, right? Like these are goals, but it's to build an audience, right? That can be a goal too. But I guess what are some things that I guess we can call them like common traps, right? Or common ways that people get stuck thinking that they're being productive, but really and truly they're just being busy. Can you think of any? I got one. So one of them is let's call it tool switching, right? Let's call it tool switching because I work on a lot of like applications, right? Like so I may be building an application, meaning developing. I might be editing a video, I might be editing some photos or making a graphic or something like that, right? If I'm doing those things, then all of those things require a certain tool. Right. But if we make this simple, I'm gonna make this very, very simple because most people have used a hammer. Most people have used a screwdriver. Most people have because you probably put together some furniture, right? Possibly. If you're an adult, you more than likely have. Um, but think about this. Imagine I'm trying to put together this dresser, right? A dresser, nightstand, end table, right? Something like that, right? From IKEA, from, one of those stores. Anyway, you putting this stuff together. And every time that you go to screw the bolt, the thing wants you to do, like the plans say to have a Allen key, right? To do it with an Allen key. You know what an Allen key is? It's kind of like a it's kind of like a screwdriver, but it's like a hexagon shape, right? And you stick it in the hole and turn it. Normally the tool is like a L that they give you, right? Like it looks like a L. Like, do I have one? I might have one. Hold on. Oh no, I don't. I don't have one. However, let's just say this because these are two tools. This isn't the Allen one. I thought I had an Allen one right here, but I don't. But imagine it looks something like this, right? Like it would be like bent like that, right? Like a 90-degree type bend, right? Can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? Right? It'd be like a 90-degree type bend. Okay, so it would go straight and then it goes down. One side is longer than the other, right? One side is longer than the other. So that way, if you need to go this way, you can screw it this way, or it can go this way and you can screw it this way, right? By turning this one. Okay, so you get that visual. Now, imagine though, you were trying to build this nightstand or this dresser or this, whatever. And every time that you make a quarter turn, instead of you using the Allen key every time, like the directions say, turn the Allen key, make it tight, whatever. And you make like a little quarter turn with the Allen key, then you take the Allen key away and you pull out a a flathead. And you like, okay, let me try to do it like this, right? And then you're like, you know what? You turn a little bit with the flathead, and then you say, okay, I think I might need to just go ahead and do it, with the Phillips, right? So now you use the Phillips head. You see what I'm saying? Can you see that? Right? So you go from that to that, right? Flathead, right? And then you're like, okay, no, let me just use this, right? And then you use a T, right? The Torx, right? And you're trying all of these different tools, but you're not making any progress. You see what I'm saying? Like, so you can't keep tool switching. You can't keep tool switching. You find a tool, you use it to get the job done, right? Here's another example. If anybody in here knows about streaming, they have a tool called OBS. All right. That's a streaming switcher type platform that you can run on your computer, and it has different inputs, or you can set up scenes that show this or do that or whatever, right? It has a whole bunch of different inputs, and you can run that while you're live streaming, and it's controllable by different systems and stuff that plug into it. Okay, so that's what OBS does, right? And I think it's called the Open Broadcasting System or something like that. Open Broadcasting Software, something like that. Anyway, so you have OBS, but then there's like four other type of streaming softwares that do what kind of like OBS does. Then you have, if you go on YouTube, you have YouTube Studio. You can go live on there, or whatever. And then on TikTok, you got TikTok Studio. And then on Twitch, you have, if I'm not mistaken, no, I don't think they have a studio, but they do have more other plugins that work with Twitch well, right? So you have all of these streaming solutions. And every time you go to do a stream, right, you're trying to plan for your stream or whatever. And so you open up this one tool and you're like, okay, I'm gonna use, OBS. And then you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna use YouTube. And so you set up everything on YouTube. And then you go over to TikTok and you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna use TikTok, and you're gonna set up everything on TikTok, right? And so now what you've done is you kept tool switching, meaning you still have not started streaming. You're just going around from place to place, setting up a tool that you're not even using. So you have 9, 10 tools that you've tried, but you never did anything. You never actually completed anything. You didn't make any progress. Any progress. It'd have been better off, if you want to try different streams, that you start on one stream, use it for a little bit, figure out what it does well and what it doesn't do well. But you're streaming because the goal was to stream. The goal is to create an audience. So let me stream, because that's the goal. The goal is not to try tools. That's common, a common pitfall, right? That's a common trap that people fall into. A lot of people do that. And when I said it with the tools, it sounds crazy, right? You'll never finish that dresser or that nightstand or that piece of furniture or whatever if you keep switching tools, because only one tool works for the thing. In software, it's a little bit different. Multiple tools can do the job. It's all preferential. Which one do you like? All of them stream. All of them do the exact same thing, which was the goal, to stream. Choose one. And when you find out that that one might not have a certain type of functionality that you really, really want on your stream, that you really, really want, not just because it can, and you want to be able to tell people, well, mine does this, yours doesn't. That doesn't matter. It's, does it do the job? And if it doesn't do all the things that you wanted to do, then you might have to get another one. And then you stop using the old one, start using the new one. use that because it has a thing that you want in there. But what you'll find out is that one to do something that now this one used to do, but now this new one doesn't do. That's how it goes. Because and that's why they have so many different ones, because some do it one way, another do it another way. It's really depending on how you want it to operate, meaning does it fit the way that you understand how it works, or is it something that you can just learn because it does this other thing that you really want to have, but the other one doesn't do it, right? So there's reasons to switch tools, not switch tools just because you I just want to keep switching tools. The whole thing is to stream, right? When you're looking at the software I was talking about originally from the other example, right? But switching tools, waste time, waste time. Find one, set it up, do the thing. And if you did a plan, you would have already researched which one did all the things you wanted to do before you ever hit the button. Now that doesn't mean that you're supposed to just randomly grab a tool and go. No, still do research because research is still progress, right? Research is still progress if you're researching in a manner that you already have your goal set. If you're researching the research, then that's busy work. You see what I'm saying? Now, unless your goal is to have a channel that talks about streaming streaming softwares, right, or tools, those are the only reasons why you're gonna keep switching, right? Because I'm reviewing them for an audience. If you're not reviewing them for an audience, no needs to switch tools. Pick a tool, use that tool, get the best out of it, do as much as you can do in it, and then if once you outgrow it, then move to the next best tool. And a lot of people don't understand that. They want what everybody else has versus using what they have access to, right? Because why would I go if I'm trying to, let's just say, and this is a true story. Let's just say that my daughter says that she wants to edit videos. Okay? True story. Let's say she wants to edit videos. And because of what I know, I say, hey, I know your computer is a Linux computer, and there is Caden Live and there's OpenShot. Both of those edit video. How about we start there? That's what she did. She started there. She picked one. She started using it. She was making videos. And then she said, this ain't allowing me to do this. I'm trying to do that. Like, so she had ideas. She was like, I want to do this on my video, but it doesn't allow me to do that. So I looked at it with her, tried to figure out, is this possible in this platform? And you could, but it was kind of clunky. But once I showed her, she was like, oh, okay, cool. Then she went off, right? Kept editing videos. And then I asked her to do, a video for a client. And I was like, yo, try this. Really was just to see where she was at now, based on the time that she had been doing editing. And I saw some of her videos. I said, hey, let's try this right here. Because I just wanted to see how she would do it. So she edited the video and she did a pretty good job. Really good, actually. And so I was like, well, let me think about this. I didn't tell her this. I said, let me think about this. How can we get her an upgrade? But she came back before that and was like, I really want to do this right here, but it doesn't do it. Like, and I've tried multiple ways and I can't get it to do this. So I looked it up and they said that it doesn't do that yet. It didn't support that. And so I was like, hmm, okay. And so then I had to upgrade her because it wasn't just upgrading the platform. It wasn't upgrading just the computer, but it was upgrading the computer, the software, you know what I mean? Which came with other things that needed to be upgraded. And so the thing I want you to get out of that story is the fact that she used what she had until she can get to what she wanted. Because for me, I'm not gonna buy something that is let's just say this thing cost me $300 right? Um, in the way to make it a professional thing. But if I can get something that is open source, especially for my daughter, she wants to do this thing. She doesn't have to learn there. She could learn the concepts on something that may be harder, that may not be as easy, that might have to do 4 or 5 steps that normally in, one of the more production versions, you can actually do it in 1 to 2 steps, right? But if you learn with something that makes you do 5, 6 steps to be able to do it and all this other kind of stuff, then what happens is when you do get that thing that allows you to do it in 1 step, you actually appreciate that. You actually understand that this normally would have taken me X amount of time. And so now you figured out that this is going to allow you to do so many more videos, right? Because you realize how much time it gives you back. If you just, if you can understand that concept, use what you have, even though it might be clunky, even though it might be slower, even though it might not, be the best way to do it. Because when you can use that to then build up to get what you really want or what's really built for the job, now you'll respect that tool, you'll love that tool, you'll grow to do the same thing again. You'll use that tool with every in and out that it can do until you find a tool that's better. So you're not stuck in a trap because you're constantly using the tool until the tool is no longer works for where you're going. Once you've outgrown that tool, now you move to a better tool. You get to the next best thing, right? Sometimes it's based on budget. Sometimes it's based on the computer you have. Sometimes it's based on the understanding you have, right? Sometimes it's based on just what exists right now. All of that matters because I could start off with some tools from the Dollar Tree, right? Regular tools, right? Like tools like this, like regular tools used to build something. I can go to Dollar Tree and get some tools for $1, right? Those tools might last me through 2 or 3 building, right? Two or three objects I need to build. Next thing you know, it doesn't have the edges on it, right? The edges start to get all worn off, and it doesn't actually stick in the thing anymore, right? In the bolts or screws. So I can do that, right? I can get tools from Dollar Tree, and as soon as those start breaking or something, but I'm realizing now I really like building something, right? Because I had those whack tools, I had those cheap tools, I had those, you know, um, really low, they're not low value. I don't consider them low value. I want to say that they're very, um, cost effective, right? Very cost effective tools. If I buy those tools and then realize in my head that I like building stuff, I like doing stuff with my hands, then I can move up and go get me some craftsmen, right? I don't know if that's the next level, but maybe I go get some craftsmen. Then I realize, oh, I really do like doing that. Now let me go get me some, you know, well, not Craftsman. So say I go from Dollar Tree then to Walmart tools, and I go from Walmart tools to then Home Depot tools, then I go from Home Depot tools to like the what's the name of the truck that comes around? What is that? Craftsman? No. Starts with an M, I think. I don't know what the name of that truck is. If y'all know, tell me in the comments. But whatever name of that truck is that comes around that have tools and stuff on it. But I move up to those. Those are custom tools that have lifetime warranties and stuff like that. So all I'm saying is that helps you not be in a trap by taking that to choose a tool, use it until it can't get you any further. Because the whole goal is to do the thing. Whatever the thing is to reach the goal. That is by far what the whole point is, right? By far, that's what the whole point is. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So if you can make sure that you avoid the traps, right? Avoid the traps. Because in that example, in the examples that I gave you, right? we're talking about we're talking about tool switching right? We're talking about, I don't know whether you call it over preparing or you call it um putting your using I don't know how to put that into context, but I'm thinking about it like, yeah, yeah, in the YouTube example, that's what I'm saying. Like in the YouTube example, when I said that you're streaming on the streaming platform, and then on top of that, you're streaming on YouTube. You know, you go to YouTube and use your YouTube Studio, and then you go over here and you're setting up all this stuff, and you know everything is set up, but ain't nobody, but you ain't doing nothing, right? That's ain't that like over preparing? Like you're preparing for stuff, but you're not doing anything. Does that make sense? Um, you know, um, or you might even get into the thought process of um and this is key to being to somebody being busy but not progressing, right? Being busy but not progressing, which is um you know what? I'm gonna stream, right? In the terms of streaming, right? I'm gonna stream, but I just need to do one more thing. Like I need to add this other thing. I need to make sure that I gotta have a logo, right? I gotta have a I can't do it until I understand how many people I'm gonna get. I can't do it. I can't stream until I figure out you know um um what audience what's my audience um um what what time do they normally get on streams? Like you're really prolonging it because you feel like you need one more thing, right? Like I can't do it until I have this other thing. I need this other equipment. I gotta get I need an outboard switcher on top of the switcher on my computer, right? I can't do it because I don't have the good headphones. I need the high end headphones before I can start streaming because I need to be able to hear the music and the comments. Like you can't hear comments. You know what I'm saying? All you need is something to put sound in your ears so you can get what the heck's happening if you're gonna play music. Like that's the thing I'm saying is that a lot of times people get stuck because they're thinking that they need one more thing. I can't do it until I get one more thing. No, you don't. You don't need that thing, right? And I think what I'll do tomorrow is talk about um um what's good enough, right? To do something, what's good enough? What does that look like? So I'm not gonna talk about it now, but I think that's what I'm talking about tomorrow. Based on where I'm at in this conversation, I think I'm gonna talk about tomorrow what's good enough because a lot of people don't even get that concept. So tomorrow, watch for the stream because that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about good enough. All right. Um, but if you feel like, oh well, I just need to do one more thing, then you don't. You don't need that one more thing. When I started my stream, I didn't have my name up here. I didn't have that. I didn't have a logo over here, right? I didn't have the goal right here. I didn't have the ability, you know what I'm saying, to switch, different feeds. I didn't have my chat right here. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have all of that. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I had the colors on in the background. I know I didn't have my bookcase right there, right? Because this was a new studio. This was something that I'm setting up. I'm just building it as I go. So I didn't have all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I even have other feeds that y'all don't even know yet because I haven't done it on YouTube, definitely. But if you're on Twitch, you've seen some of the other stuff that I can do with my setup, right? But I didn't have all of this. I have it now, but that's because I'm using what I have until I can get what I want, right? Like even my camera one. Camera one is not the camera that I want to use for camera one. I'm using this one because right now it's the best one I have to do it, right? This side shot, this is a whole different type of camera, right? Whole different type of camera. And it's not even colored the way that I would like it to be colored for the stream, right? But it's not gonna stop me. It's not gonna stop me at all, right? Why? Because I'm progressing. I'm headed toward my goal. And if I wasn't headed toward my goal, I would not have this amount of streamers within the first 30 days. I have 2 more days before it's 30 days. So if matter of fact, if you're watching this right now, whenever you're watching it, go over to twitch.tv/ the real rich bees and follow, because I really need, we have to hit this goal of 30, of hitting more than 30 followers, more than 30 followers within the first 30 days of streaming. Now, can y'all help me reach this goal? I'm asking. Help me reach this goal. I've been bringing content like this the whole time, right? Ever since day one, I've been bringing content like this because I want to empower people. Um, and so we have 2 more days, 2 more days. So I believe we can do it. I believe we can hit this goal. And matter of fact, I believe we can exceed this goal. And if we can get to the real goal was 50 for me, honestly. That was the real goal. That was the original goal. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get 50 as fast as possible, because then that's enough that I can, we can have some real good conversation in the chat and stuff like that, right? But what I realized is that I may have to lower that goal when it comes to Twitch, because Twitch is very challenging with getting viewers, getting discovery, and I'm finding that out. However, we're actually doing really good. We're doing better than I thought we would after starting and realizing how challenging it was. But again, that didn't stop me, right? Because I'm gonna keep progressing toward my goal. Now, there's other things I could do about bringing more people from other platforms and stuff like that, but that's not really what the goal was. The goal was to build it on Twitch, and then I realized no matter what, I was gonna get on YouTube eventually, but I didn't realize which way would be the best way for me to do it. So it took me time to bring YouTube into the fold, but now YouTube is connected today. Why? Because I want to progress. And I'm okay with stuff not necessarily being everything 100% when I start. I talked about that yesterday. It's about being good enough and moving forward. And I just ended up getting into the conversation for tomorrow, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because it's easy for me to navigate into the next thing. But, no, 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 no. All right. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. All right. Let's bring it back. Um, so y'all got me sidetracked because I really wanted to start navigating into the other topic, but that's a topic for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. But if I had to sum this up, because normally, I don't know whether I've shown y'all, but my business hours, when I say business hours, I'm talking about the days and times that I normally stream, right? The days and times that I normally stream, it looks like this. Okay. So what you see is Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And actually, these aren't final times. This isn't the whole time. This is literally between the times I'm gonna start. So you have to follow on Twitch, or subscribe or follow on YouTube, so that way you can be notified when I'm actually live, right? But normally it's between these times. So between 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. is when I'll start. Fridays between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. is when I'll start. I stream at other times, random times that aren't within these, but these are the main times that I will be going live. And if I'm not live, then something might have happened. But most of the time, I'm live at these times. Okay. So remember that. Um, Now with that being said, um, if I had to sum this up, right? Let's sum this up, because it's coming up on that time that I normally have to take a break. So I might come back on a little bit later today. But at this moment, I can't tell you that I am, because it's going to be outside of my times. But if you're following, make sure you follow, right? Make sure, because we need to hit those goals, right? We always need to be progressing toward the goal. So I'm asking you to join in with me and become a part of the community. Also, we do have a Discord channel, a Discord server, excuse me. If you head over to richbees.com/links, you can join the Discord. Okay. So head over there, richbees.com/links, join the Discord, because we're going to build a community there for other things, okay, for other understandings, and for y'all to for us to have now two-way conversation, right? And we grow together. Okay, so we'll create a community there that will have two-way conversation, and we'll be able to you guys can help, give information to everybody as I'm also delivering information. So join the Discord, and remember, we're our whole point is to help each other grow, build, do better, see more, and be a better version of ourselves. Okay. Now, as I sum up this whole conversation for today, um, what I believe is that progress sometimes looks boring, right? Progress doesn't look impressive. Progress, a lot of times, builds foundations and then starts to grow big mansions, on top of that, because progress is already planned. Progress has structure. Progress allows you to build things on top of it. Busy, it looks impressive. It looks like you got it going on. It looks like you're making moves. It looks like your calendar's booked. However, you're not actually making any progress towards reaching any tangible goal, right? So when you're moving towards progress, remember, to choose progress means choosing a goal, and because you've chosen a goal, you're not moving based on feelings, because now you're moving based on plans, right? Based on structure. There's no feeling involved in it once you've chosen the goal, once you've planned to reach the goal, once you've taken inventory of what you have that'll help you reach the goal. You're dealing in a manner of action, right? Not feeling. Feeling you need to use and engage when you are planning your goal, right? What do I feel like I want? What do I feel like I want my life to look like? What do I feel like makes the most sense for me and my passion, right? That's where you engage the feeling muscle. But once you've come up with that goal, once you've come up with that plan, once you've gotten together your inventory, now feelings aside, feelings aside, because at this point, it's all about action. It's all about action. Action towards hitting that goal. Anytime that you get stopped, anytime that you encounter something challenging that you didn't foresee in your plan, take a step back, strategize that, figure out what do I need to do, What's my next step? Because I want to make sure that I'm making progress with every action that I do. That's the only way to be efficient at reaching that goal, right? Efficient, which is the shortest point, like the quickest way to any goal is a straight line, right? That's the shortest way. However, if you want the shortest path, then you have to figure out what's that straight line. And anything that takes you off that course, you have to cut out. Anything that drives the goal forward, keep doing. Run it straight up the middle, right? In football, that's what they say, run it up the gut. Don't worry about nothing else, right? Don't worry about a thing else. Keep running up the middle. That's how you're gonna get success. That's how you're gonna reach your goals. That's how you're gonna be the best version of yourself, because it's gonna make you feel fulfilled, because you'll see progress. And sometimes progress is slow. Sometimes progress doesn't, it feels like nothing's happening. But if you're walking that plan out, it'll happen. You can almost guarantee it'll happen because you planned it. You've planned it. And because when you're planning, what are you going to do? You're going to think about, okay, well, if this, okay, nah, okay, so I need to make sure that I'm covering this. I need to make sure I'm covering that. I need to make sure that, I'm protecting this and I'm protecting that. I need to make sure that, I'm staying in line with the goal. Okay, I'll make sure that, I got my tools. I know who I'm going to, where I'm going to go. I know who I need to talk to, right? You got everything planned out. Success has to come out of that. Success has to come out of that. And anytime that something blocks you, you reassess and you go straight up the gut again. And that straight might be different than the straight. It might be a curve, right? Because you might have to go around something. You might have to go over something. You might have to go under something. But you're still headed toward that goal. Shoulders square toward your goal. And again, it might take you around, over, under, whatever, but you're still going toward that goal. And nothing, you have to choose that nothing is going to stop you. Nothing's going to stop you. You might get delayed. It might come later. It might come sooner. But progress every day toward that goal will get you to the success that you want in your life. I believe it for me. I believe it for you. And together, join the Discord, follow, subscribe, like, comment, holla at your boy. This is Rich Bees. We can build it together because that's what we're here for. So make sure that you come back tomorrow. I told you we'll be talking about what? What did I say? What did I say we was gonna talk about? Do you remember? Because I want you to remember now. Because you got to come back, right? You got to come back. And so to come back tomorrow, we will, we will be talking about what good enough is. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about what good enough is. So we'll build it together. Make sure you hit the comments because I will be following up with you guys. Again, anytime that you have a question, you can catch me at the times that I showed on there. But again, this is Rich Bees, the real Rich Bees, letting you know that we've crossed the milestone and we're doing wonderful. So I ask you to join me again tomorrow. We'll be back, another topic, and we'll keep it moving because that's what we do here. All right. Thanks for coming out. Talk to you on the next time. This is Rich Bees, and I'm out.